You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuckner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, it's a very special occasion because we're joined by Matt Klein on the line. Matt Klein, you're a beautiful man. Welcome onto the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Just starting off the new year good and talking to a lot of people, a lot of interested folks, and I think we're going to have a good year.
So I'm going to pull up the website real quick, and I really want to tap into your wisdom and your discernment on this, because people right now are optimistic about America. A lot of people are excited about our country and the direction things are going. There's a certain energy there, and people are going, I might want to start my own business or buy my own business or so. Talk to us about just franchising in general. If somebody goes to oxyfresh.com or they go to domino's.com or littlecaesars.com, what is it about franchising that should be appealing to people?
Yeah, I think what stops folks from becoming entrepreneurs is that they feel like they don't have the adequate skills to do everything, right? They might be good at sales, but not management. They might be good at management, but they don't have a tech background. They don't know how to build a website, right? So when you think about it, it's just too overwhelming to even get to the front step to even try to unlock that door, right? So with franchising, you kind of take all those things, the unknowns, out of the equation. So you have an idea, you got a business model, you got whatever you're offering, whether it's a service or a good or whatever that is, and then you have infrastructure and you got support. And so instead of you trying to figure out how to build a website, the website's built for you. Instead of you trying to figure out what type of, in our industry, like what type of products and equipment to use, you step into this world. We already have done all the R&D and we already know what works. So now you have that taken care of. You don't have to worry about trying to figure out what vendors to work with and have them waste a bunch of time and money. So franchising solves the very big issue of where to start, 1, who to work with, 2, how to get customers, 3, and how to support you on the kind of the intermediary things of like, how do I actually find, like, how do I pay my employees, or how do I fill up my gas, for my employees? So it solves all of the problems that small businesses run into 100% of the time.
Now, Matt, I've known the founder of OxyFresh since college, and obviously I've seen the brand grow out of 500 plus locations. How many locations or territories do you have now with oxyfresh.com?
So we have we're over 500 territories operating in the United States and Canada right now. We have about 300 left in the United States, and we have about 200 left in Canada.
So I'm going to now switch on the mic over to Meg. I call her Meg Roll. Meg Roll is going to now ask you a question she has about franchising. So without any further ado, Meg, what question do you have here for Matt Klein?
Matt, my question would be, what would be your advice for someone who wants to start franchising but maybe isn't sure the best direction to head? Where would you go to research good franchising opportunities?
Yeah, you can go to, if you really want to research good companies, the internet is just stacked with unlimited amounts of those. It's actually pretty hard to navigate because they'll give you like different types of, maybe you want to an investment level. And then you might want something that says, I want semi-absentee, or I don't want brick and mortar. And then you're still going to get like 30 companies, right? And then they're just going to pepper you with stuff all week. I do think a good way to go is through a brokerage, so they can kind of tell them what your needs and wants is, and they will have a list of verified companies that they work with. I have a handful that we work with as well. That's kind of a little bit better of a deal. Doesn't cost you anything as the buyer. That's something too. But you can also just go on and find an industry that you like and find the top 2 or 3 companies that you want, and just have them all go through the same process with you and figure out who you like. At least you'll get familiar with franchising. Or you can just go right directly to OxyFresh and I'll take you through the whole process.
That's great. Thank you, Matt.
Meg, did you have a follow-up question for Matt Klein while we have him on the line here? Do you have a follow-up question? Just say, hypothetically, you were looking to buy a franchise this week. You're going, all right, we're headed into this new month and I'm going to buy a franchise. Would you have any other question for Matt that you would have as a consumer before you went to oxyfresh.com and requested info?
I think probably would be, how would you encourage somebody to find the best area to go into? Like, are you looking for somewhere that doesn't have anything competitive, or are you looking for an area that does have similar companies?
It's all perspective. I mean, when I talk to people, they come from all walks of life. I do think if you're looking for something, you don't want to be so open-ended that there's just unlimited amounts. Like, find some industry, find things that you might care about. Or, you could certainly find things that you think there's a need, like a niche, or there's not enough companies that are offering those types of services.
Okay.
Now, James, you were born closer to yesterday than I was. You're from the great state of New Jersey. What question would you have for Matt Klein about franchising?
So what's the difference in success rate versus franchise owners compared to traditional business owners?
Okay, so what's you're saying, how likely is somebody to succeed as a franchise owner as opposed to just any business owner of any kind?
Right.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, you're going to be anywhere between, it depends on what polls you look at, anywhere between 8 to 12% failure rate in franchising, where you're going to be closer to 90% when you just run a business on your own. And it makes sense, right? I mean, if you run a business on your own, you've never done it before, everything you do is brand new, and not everyone you work with is going to be honest and the people that you look for, but they all cost the same amount of money, right? So it costs a lot of money to go through all those trials and tribulations and all that sort of stuff.
The one thing that I want to share that's somewhat mind-boggling to me about franchising is that it's so clear, it's so obvious, it's so incredible. If you work in the space, that franchising exists. I mean, you could borrow or rent or use or own a proven model. Like, to me, it is such an incredible thing that there's a possibility out there, Matt, that somebody could own a location or a business that has worked 300 times or 400 times or 500 times. The idea that you could buy a model, to me, buying a franchise is very much, it's almost like a cookie cutter kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to make a cookie and I want to make another cookie that's the same shape. I know what I'll do. I'll use the cookie cutter. To me, that's just awesome. Do people fundamentally understand that, Matt, about franchising, or what kind of questions do people ask you about franchising itself? Because to me, it just seems so obvious and so great.
Yeah, I get all sorts of questions like what you just asked me. What's the success rate? They'll say, why wouldn't I just start my own company? That's a funny one to me that I like to answer. They'll say, why you over the competition in your same industry? That's a great question you should always ask. If the person you're talking to about their company can't answer that in very definite terms, that would be a red flag for me. It also, like, what's your budget? What are you looking to spend? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Like, not every franchise is created equal. You can get into a very low cost it's technically a franchise where you own a bunch of dispensing machines, right? Or you can go a couple $1 million into a brick and mortar restaurant. And so there's an unlimited amount of options out there. So you do want to kind of define it and figure out what the budget's a good way to start. Like, what are you willing to spend, or what do you want to spend? And from that'll categorize things out and in. And then you can say, okay, from there, what industries do I like? Like, no, I don't want to make cookies, but maybe I want to clean, or maybe I don't want to clean, but I think that maybe an installation of things would be better. So you do want to kind of think about your life and who you are and things that might click with you, and then define it by budget and kind of time frame and things you don't like. Some people don't want employees. Some people don't want rent, right? So there's just a lot out there.
Now, Anthony, you were born even closer to yesterday than James was. What follow-up question would you have for Matt Klein? Again, Matt Klein is a franchise brand developer for OxyFresh. So if somebody wants to buy a franchise, they're probably going to talk to Matt Klein at some point. What question would you have for Matt Klein?
So the question I would have is, what would be the biggest obstacle that you have seen, Matt, for those who want to step into franchising that are new to that realm?
Yeah, I'd say financing is one, right? So there we run across people that they want to do it, they think it's a good fit, but they didn't previously have their finances in order. So maybe they got to do some credit repair, or they need to do some things like that. That's a hurdle for some. In my world, we have protected territory. So I have sometimes great people, very qualified, have the money, but they don't have territory where they live or anywhere close. So that can be a hurdle for us. So if you talk to us, one of the first things we'll talk about is like, where is availability in the market, and what your flexibility of ownership is. For some people, semi-absentee ownership is great, some not. Some people, owning in your backyard is a must. Some people can run it states away. So there's all sorts of options there. And I'd say that probably the last one is just the assumptions, right? I get people all the time say, nobody wants to work anymore. Like, I don't want employees. And they don't have any reason behind that. They can't tell me where they heard that. So they need to kind of be talked off the ledge there. So people's assumptions can really get in their way. And then the last one is the dreaded, we got through the whole process and I haven't introduced this to my wife or my husband yet. And so they are not as in a family unit on the same page. That's a big one too.
Okay.
Now, Matt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a document on the screen, and I would like for you to follow along with me and see if what I'm saying makes any sense. And I want to do some education for people out there. So if you're going to go buy a house today, okay, we're doing a mortgage calculator, and let's say we're going to go buy a house, all right? So, James, let's say you're going to go buy a house, okay?
Okay.
James, you're excited. You're newly married. You're getting a house. You excited about this idea?
I'm ready for it.
Okay, so you're buying a house for $400,000, okay? And so you pay a down payment of $8,000. Anyway, the point is you have a mortgage, and the mortgage rate 6.98%. People don't get overwhelmed by the numbers here. What I'm saying is you're buying a $400,000 house. You have a 6.9% interest rate. So you do a 30-year payment process. So your monthly payment is $2,500 roughly. All this is on the screen here. Okay, are we on the same page? You feel me?
Got it.
Okay, so you buy a $400,000 house. Roughly, your payment is $2,500 a month. We on the same page?
I got it.
Matt, I buy an OxyFresh. How much is it to buy an OxyFresh?
$46,900.
Okay, so I'm going to put 46,000 in this mortgage calculator. I'm not going to put in, so 46,000. Okay, and the down payment's a little different, but let's say I'm putting in 10 grand of some kind. So I'm actually borrowing $36,000. I'm not, okay, 36,000 as not 46. I'm going to I need 46, but I'm going to put 10 into it. Then I can't do a 30-year. My bank says that's crazy, buddy. You have to do a 5-year note. Okay. And my interest rate, because let's say I've got bad credit or something, so my interest rate's not the best. I'm paying 8%. At that point, my payment would be about $1,100 a month. Matt, am I way off here? Is that kind of similar numbers that people are talking about if they finance an OxyFresh?
Yeah, yes, they're more depending on what rate and how they do it. Anywhere between like $700 to $1,200 would be a monthly payment for a business.
Okay, so James goes out there. He opens up an OxyFresh in a territory in Oklahoma. Okay, so now you bought a house. We just talked about that. You bought a house for $400,000. Okay, you got it, and your mortgage is $2,500 a month. New idea though. You have an OxyFresh, so your payment per month is like $1,200 a month. Matt, are we on? Are these?
Yeah.
Okay, so this sounds realistic. So now what you got to ask yourself is, how many carpets do you have to clean per month to break even? That is called cash flow. And on part 2 of today's show, Robert Kiyosaki is going to break that down. Okay. But Matt, what's the average carpet? Like, what's the average ticket price? Not the profit, but the average ticket price to clean carpet?
About $230.
$230. So follow me on this.
Residentially.
Not trying to paint you into a corner, and this is not meant to be a passive aggressive form of attack there, James. So if the average carpet was $200 and your payment per month is $1,200 and you're personally cleaning the carpets yourself, how many carpets do you have to clean to break even?
I got to clean 6 carpets.
Okay. And let's just say there's a lot of expenses because you can't stop eating beef jerky as you clean the carpets yourself. Maybe there's 10. And so you start to do the math and you go, okay, how many carpets do I have to clean to break even? And that is how somebody should look at buying a business. Matt, am I off? Am I off there in what you would tell somebody?
No, that's a very kind of simple way to look at it. Obviously, when you look at business, you have things like vehicles and insurance and stuff, but it's the same practice, right? And when you talk to someone like myself, we can work backwards. We know that we're trying to get each vehicle to around 14 to 16,000 a month in sales. That would be a full schedule, normal full schedule. And then you can back off from what your costs are, and then you can be left with what your actual income is. So it's the same practice. You can do it from one side or the other.
Now, I'm just being super clear here. This is how I like to think. I don't like to talk about the emotions. I like to think about the math. All right, that's how I like to think about it. So make roll. Let's say you're on the phone. Boop, 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 boop. You go to oxyfresh.com. You're gonna call Matt. You're gonna ask him questions, and you now know because you heard from a friend of yours, and she said, "Oh, I have an OxyFresh. I own one, and my payment's about $1,200 a month. That's what I pay for my business." What follow-up question would you have for Matt Klein if you were talking to Matt, knowing that your payment per month, if you did a small business loan, would be about $1,200 a month? What follow-up question would you have knowing that?
I would probably ask how much you profit on top of that.
How much you profit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're the franchise owner, you want to ask Matt, suppose I buy this, how much profit can I make? Is that the question? Okay.
Yes.
And just to be clear before you answer that, I want to be clear. In the world of franchising is regulated by the federal government. Thus, Matt cannot hop on our show or any show and make a claim that you're going to be super profitable, nor can he damn you to not being profitable. But Matt, what would be your answer for something like that?
Yeah, and I don't have to give there's varieties. I would actually have to punt this back to you and say, okay, how are we owning it? Or are you the one doing the cleanings, or do you have an employee? Right? Are you hiring a full-time person in the beginning, or are you having a part-time person? Right? What's your background? How are we going after jobs? What's your budget for marketing? Because there's a lot of things in a business that activity, what you choose to do will have a direct impact on your not your paycheck, but what you can draw from that company. Mm-hmm. So, but we can kind of define it in ways where you have a scope, a range of what's possible. And then from how you own it and the decisions you make as that owner, we can dive closer to that number.
Okay.
James, again, you were born closer to yesterday than many of our listeners out there. You're from New Jersey, where the public schools are atrocious, in my understanding. But what question would you have for Matt Klein?
How many carpets can I clean in one day?
Well, it depends on the price, right? If you're doing your minimum ticket of 110, you can do about 7 of those a day. If you're doing $300 tickets, you can do about 3 of those a day. Right? If you're doing $200 tickets, you can do about 4 of those a day. And also too, by the way, I can send 2 people to a commercial job of $5,000 and they can do that in one day. So not every job is created equal depending on what type of job it is. So I'm beating around an exact answer because there isn't one.
Got it. Well, how many residential jobs do you get compared to commercial jobs?
Also depends on how you own it. For me, I'm a semi-absentee owner. I don't live anywhere near my franchise. I'm like 90% residential because that's the way I go after my customers. For folks that are sitting there and they're maybe it's their full-time ownership and that's all they do. They spend their time. They get the same type of business I do, but then they have a sales leg to it where the owner might be going and talking to property managers, building managers. They're going to have a higher percentage of commercial than I would.
Now, I want to just clarify this. This is my completely shameless, biased worldview here. I don't understand why anybody with a sound mind would not want to buy an OxyFresh if they had the financial capacity to do so and they were unsure about what they wanted to do with their lives. So as an example today, Matt, I'm here in the studio right now talking to you. I'm having a great time. Things are great. Woo! Meanwhile, I've got these things called assets that are working for me while I'm on the show. So as an example, I'll be kind of vague on this one, but I have a company I'm involved in. Okay. And just to be very clear, I had to put about $100,000 into it and we remodel things. That's what we do. And I'm not going to mention the name of the company because if you're watching today's show and you hate our company, that's okay. But I don't have any connection to it, Matt. I don't have any, I'm completely passive. I put up $100,000 and just to be super clear, I get a small percentage of the gross revenue of this particular business, just to be very clear. And so there are some months that I might make as much as $6,000 a month with that business. And because we're all geniuses, we know it's going to take me 2 to 3 years to get my money back. If I'm making $6,000 a month, 12 months, I'm only making $72,000. So it's going to take me at least 1.5 years, maybe 2 years to break even. Now I've since broken even and I'm making money. That's called an asset. So to me, when I hear about a brand that you can buy for under $100,000, I mean, when you think about buying a Floyd's barber shop, requires you to have a net worth of over $1 million to buy one. When you talk about a McDonald's requiring $2 million, I cannot comprehend how anybody could not want to buy an OxyFresh. And with that being said, we're going to go here to Anthony, who might have been born yesterday. Anthony, what final question would you have for Matt Klein?
So the question that I have for you, Matt, is for an individual who actually has the tenacity to do so, what is the hours going to consist of for them to actually be profitable for them?
So it's not full time. You don't have to spend 40 hours a week. If you do, obviously you can grow faster. I mean, you can really kind of go after a commercial leg of your business. But if you can give us a couple hours a day, and with our infrastructure and the fact you're not having to find your infrastructure and try to build it, it's ready from day one. You can do a lot with a couple hours a day, and you can be a successful franchise. Nothing won't work, and it doesn't have to be 70, 80 hours a week. So we fit the need of a lot of different people in that scope of time.
Now, folks, if you want to learn more about an OxyFresh, what you're going to want to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh, thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh. We've had many of our listeners over the years who have purchased an OxyFresh location and are very happy with their experience. I would encourage you to go to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh. Now, if you're watching today's show and you say, I definitely don't want to buy an OxyFresh, okay, then don't fill out the form at thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh. But I would recommend you do it, and I mean this sincerely. Folks, I paid Michael Levine back in the day. This is Michael Levine, one of the top PR guys on the planet. This is the PR consultant of choice for Michael Jackson, Nike, Prince, insert the name. I paid him $25,000 for 3 hours of his time. What? Folks, I have literally paid in my lifetime, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of consulting fees just to learn the kinds of things that Matt Klein will tell you for free on a consultation. So I would encourage you to go to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh. And then, Matt, I'm going to throw in a little kicker today, a little bonus fry here. For our upcoming conference, we've got Robert Kiyosaki coming. We have Eric Trump coming. We have, again, the best-selling author of The Carnivore Diet, Dr. Sean Baker, he'll be here. So we have the best-selling self-help author of our generation, Robert Kiyosaki. He sold over 70 million copies of his books. We've got Eric Trump, President Trump's son, will be here. We've got Tom Wheelwright, one of the most successful financial planners in existence. And so for anybody, if you go to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh and you request additional information, you will be entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass to our in-person workshop. And so that's what we're going to do right there. So you say, how do I claim that backstage pass? Well, you're entered in for a drawing. We're only going to have about 400 people that are here. So, I mean, it's a pretty high probability you have a chance to win. Go to thrivetimeshow.com/OxyFresh. Matt Klein, I'll give you the final 30 seconds, sir. What say you?
Yeah, I tell people this a lot, and I've said this on your show a lot. If you have any thoughts or aspirations of becoming a business owner, just fill out the form, right? If nothing else, you learn the process. We'll be able to understand a little bit more about your goals. You can see kind of how the functionality of a franchise works. And if we get to a place where we work together down the road, great. But if not, you at least know what franchising is. There's too many people out there that have no idea about franchising or that it's even an option for them.
And folks, don't think you have to be a male model to own an OxyFresh. Just because Matt Klein is perhaps one of the most beautiful men in American history, that doesn't mean that you have to be as beautiful as Matt. I mean, Matt Klein, this is a true story, folks. This is a true story. Matt Klein actually led the entire state of Colorado in scoring, playing basketball. This is a true story. He played basketball in Colorado, and in high school, he was the state's #1 scoring basketball player, averaging nearly 30 points a game, I believe, his junior year. And despite the fact that Matt is Matt, are you 4'3"? How tall are you, Matt?
About 4'7".
No, seriously, how tall are you?
5'10".
5'10". I mean, he's 5'10". Matt, how many points a game did you average in your junior year?
My junior year was like 20. My senior year, I averaged like 30.
Was it 30, like 30 point something or 29 point something?
29 point. I rounded up.
29 point what?
Like maybe 6.
29.6 points a game his senior year. And Matt, I'm telling you, folks, let me tell you how not tall Matt is. On today's show, he's standing up. It might look like he's sitting down. He's standing up, and yet he led that. No, but Matt, seriously, I mean, you had success in sports, and then you transitioned that focus and that tenacity into this business. and you didn't know about carpet cleaning, you weren't a guy who was obsessed with carpets, you weren't running around asking adults if you could touch the carpet, you weren't going into carpet stores saying, please let me touch your carpet. Yes, I want to touch the carpet. You didn't come from a long line of carpet guys. Your father's father wasn't a carpet guy. But I think people think, oh, I have to be obsessed with McDonald's to buy McDonald's. I have to love carpet to buy a carpet franchise. I need to. Matt, can you just finally talk about that? Because I think some people get all hung up on this idea. Because I want to be very clear. I am involved in a home remodeling company. And you know what? I would not personally hire said services to do the vast majority of the things that we do for people. Another example, I happen to be involved in dog training. And this just in. I really like my dog, but I'm a little bit suspect about people owning dogs. Not that I don't want you to own a dog, and I'm glad you have a constitutional right to have your own dog, but I'm just saying I'm a little bit terrified of other people's dogs, but I have a dog training business. We get the idea. You don't have to love the industry to buy an OxyFresh. Matt, what say you?
Yeah, if you get hung up on trying to find a passion project instead of trying to own a business that you can functionally run, you're going to be looking for a long time, right? Most people's passion projects are what they actually try to do on their own. Franchise are meant to be a very structured, very seamless way to make money and create generational wealth eventually.
Matt, you smell terrific. You look tremendous. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week, sir. James, the question is, are you ready to have a good time on today's show, James?
I am ready, Clay.
Now, today's show, let me tell you why I'm doing kind of a pirate theme on today's show, James, is that we're building this thing called the Crow's Nest for the upcoming Reawaken America. No, we're doing these business conferences, right? We're doing business conferences. I've been doing those for 20 years. And people say, I went to the Reawaken tour and I had a great time. I didn't know you do business conferences. Turns out that's what I do, and that's what I have done for my 20th year doing it. And James, we're running out of seats. We're getting down to our final, 40 tickets or so. And James, we're going to build a crow's nest. So we only have 4 of these tickets available. Only 4 tickets available. So back in the day, they had pirate ships, and the captain would be up there and he would yell at his first mate, what's up? Can you tell me what you see up there? Arr, and then the first mate would say, I see another ship, Captain, and then and he'd say, oh, well, what's a pirate's favorite letter? And then the first mate would yell down, C, and he's like, and then the captain, he's always clever guy. He's a clever guy. He'd say, no, it's not the C. And they'd say, what? I thought it was the C, because he's thinking, is a pirate's favorite letter, and it would just be endless. That's where the pirate jokes were developed. That's where the peg leg, the whole thing, right? So we're going with it's a pirate motif, James. It's going to be the high point of the conference, literally the high point. Now you talk about how good was the conference? What was the high point? Oh, the high point was the crow's nest, right? James, tell the listeners what else is included. Tell Dr. Sherwood, what else does somebody get, James, if they were to purchase this very limited? You talk about a VIP. This is the VIP Premium Ultra Platinum. There's only 4 of these tickets available, James. Tell Dr. Sherwood what's included.
Well, this is the ultimate ticket that you could get. So we've got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki coming to the conference.
And Robert Kiyosaki.
Yep.
Okay.
And so this will get you lunch with Eric.
Lunch with Eric Trump.
Right. And not only that, but we have the CEO of the world's longest oil pipeline.
The world's largest pipeline. The CEO will be here. Who else?
The governor of Oklahoma will be in the house.
Everybody booing because we said that. Keep going.
And then, so that night, it'll also get you dinner with Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki.
That's misleading. Eric's not going to be at the dinner, but the Robert Kiyosaki will be at the dinner.
Okay, so Robert
for a minute there, you oversold, James. Okay, so you're in the crow's nest. Now, again, James, some people say, I'm worried about flying first class. I don't want people to think I'm looking down on other people on the plane. Some people say, I worry about my box seats. I don't want to seem bougie and like I'm looking down at people. With these seats, you will literally be looking down on everybody.
And you will be forced to look down because of how high the seats will be in the office.
If your nose bleeds, we're going to be prepared. We'll have all the Kleenexes up there. We're going to bring, and there's an incredible, there's really some, the food they serve at theaters that Dr. Sherwood and other people that care about their health will tell you not to eat. You're going to have all that stuff up there. So all of the theater food will be up there. It's going to be great. So James, what else is included?
So the other things that are included with this is that you'll get to ride in Clay's van. to the dinner.
Okay, you're just
Wow.
And this thing, it's got 150,000 original miles on it.
We have not rolled back the odometer. These are original miles.
Right.
Keep
and
going.
I've probably driven 20,000 of those miles.
Tell the listeners about the interior of this thing. I mean, it's a 100% cloth interior, correct?
It's a beautiful cloth interior,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
a little bit of leather in there too.
I don't know about that. Keep going. What else can it do, James? It has two ways it can move from A
Yeah,
to B.
so it's a compressed natural gas engine
Holy crap.
as well as a regular gas engine.
No
so,
way.
you know, if the apocalypse happened, we'll switch that natural gas engine right on.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what? Anything else, James? You're including this incredible VIP option here. I mean, this is, you talk about 4 tickets at the high. James, you're going to be like the celebrity of this event when you're there. Why, James? Why will somebody be the celebrity of this event if they get those 4 ultra premium tickets?
Because I know you're going to over deliver on the tickets, and because they're going to be so high above everyone else,
Yeah.
you just won't be able to control yourself to not include them in the conference.
I'll be talking about these people nonstop, the whole conference. You're going to leave with like 400 new best friends because I'm going to talk about you constantly. And then we'll do an endless barrage of pirate jokes up there. It'll be an unbelievable thing. It's going to be, James, do you want to know how to make a pirate irate?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
How do you make a pirate irate, James?
You kick his peg leg?
You take away his pee. You see, you take away, that's the kind of comedy you're going to get if you have those seats. So, Dr. Sherwood, do you want to put that on a debit card or a credit card?
I don't even know what to say after that. I just can't wait. I think I want to cut my right leg off to pay for it.
Oh my gosh. And so, James, how much are the tickets? How much?
Only $2,500 per
Only
ticket.
$2,500 per ticket. I mean, that seems like half price. Is that ethical, James?
You know what? It might not be, but let's do it anyway.
Okay. All right. All right. So again, if you want that ultra premium, we have 4 tickets. Seriously, how much are they, James?
$2,500 per ticket.
Yeah.
And then that'll get you lunch with Eric, dinner with Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
And also Oklahoma's greatest psychologist.
That's true. Dr. Masood will be in the house. Now, so Dr. Sherwood, let's talk about this real quick here. We normally talk about geopolitical issues on today's show. I'm not going to do that. I want to get into your business, the business that you're in. It's Sherwood.tv. That's the website. I'm going to pull it up right now. And it turns out, you want to help people improve their health. That's your passion, but it has to be profitable. So I'm going to walk people through the 4 steps of entrepreneurship on today's show. I want to get your thoughts on this because I think people need to hear from real entrepreneurs like you. So let's talk about it. Step 1, you have to make a list of all the problems that you can solve. Everybody out there, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to make a list of the problems that you can solve for humanity. Dr. Sherwood, tell us about the problems that you solve for your customers there at Sherwood.tv.
Well, I think, along those lines, you got to be specific about those problems because you could be too broad. So you got to find out where you're gifted at, where you're supposed to at, and you focus in on those problems. You do for us, you could say a couple would be like, there is an obesity crisis. I think we can say legitimately that we can help anyone that wants help with the obesity crisis to reverse that. We can also say that there is a knowledge and information crisis about what people can do on a positive basis to enhance quality of life and reverse the biological aging processes and speeds. Those are 2 things that we solve.
Those are problems you solve.
That's right. That's just our areas of gifting. And so we kind of know our demographic. We kind of know what that is, and we kind of target that audience.
Now, again, there's 4 steps to being a successful entrepreneur. There's just 4. Now, there's a lot of details that go into that, but there's just 4 big ideas. 1, you find problems that you solve. So I'm giving you examples. Make your dog epic. We're a dog training franchise. What's the problem we solve? People have dogs that are misbehaving, and so we teach you how to solve that problem. We teach your dog how to be well-behaved. We find a problem. Step number 2, we solve the problem. Oxyfresh.com, we've helped them open 500 locations. What's the problem they solve? People have dirty carpets. They want to clean their carpets in a way that won't leave their carpets soggy and wet. They don't want to say, oh, come on, my carpets are soggy and wet. It feels like this is Yoda's home office. No, you don't want Yoda's home office. You want to have carpets that can be cleaned and dried within about an hour. That's oxyfresh.com. They use 1/10 of the water of Stanley Steamer. So the problem, the solution. Step 3, you got to sell something. And James, I think people, they feel bad about selling things. So I'm going to get Sherwood's take on this. I want to get your take on this first here. Why is it, James, that people, not you, feel bad to sell something? Like, I don't feel bad right now that I'm hopping on this show and I'm hyping up God's gift to entrepreneurship, aka the crow's nest. Why do people feel bad about it?
Maybe because they don't deliver the value that it costs to buy said product or service. When I know that I feel great about selling that $2,500 crow's nest epic VIP seating because I know that the value, it should be cost way more than that.
Now, Meg Roll, Dr. Sherwood, you can't see her, but our listeners can. Meg Roll, why do people feel bad about selling? Because I mean this. I've been an entrepreneur since I was, 15 years old. I don't feel bad. I will tell anybody our business conferences, I believe sincerely, are the best business conferences on the planet. I don't apologize for that. There's no doublespeak. I'm not conflicted in my mind saying that. Furthermore, I believe that Dr. Sherwood does a phenomenal job helping people optimize their health. I don't apologize for saying that. And my own family, I think, has lost a combined like 100 pounds by using his services. I know multiple people, Aaron Antis, who's lost over 40 pounds using Dr. Sherwood's methods and systems at Sherwood.tv. So I don't apologize. I don't feel bad, but why do some people feel bad about selling something?
I feel like sometimes you can feel like you're inconveniencing the person.
Dr. Sherwood, what's your thought? Why do people feel bad? There's a lot of doctors out there who feel bad about selling the solutions that they provide.
If you're confident about who you are and what you do, what you sell is going to provide return on investment astronomically into the future.
Well,
I say this to people all the time. My wife and I, man, we are what I believe, and I'm not saying this to be egotistical. I believe we're the best age management doctors that actually do what we say we do and teach people what we do to do better in the entire world. And I will put our skill set up against anybody. I don't have any apologies about that. I'm always about learning, and people are going to pay for that service because it's called value. If you don't portray and sort of broadcast value, why would anybody else value you? So I think the reason people are sort of scared of it sometimes is because they don't really believe in what they're selling you. I believe it. I live it. I know it. It's true.
I just feel like most people, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but on part one of today's show, we interviewed Matt Klein. Matt Klein is the franchise brand developer for OxyFresh. And when I first met Jonathan Barnett, the founder of OxyFresh, he was a student at Oral Roberts University. And I knew his name because he had taken the woman that I'm now married to on a date. Dun, 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 dun. And so I knew him. And he knew me, probably in the way that Jerry Seinfeld knew Newman from Seinfeld. Newman, Jerry, because there's a little bit of and now he's gone on to be super successful. He's happily married. That's how I met him, right? And so he was a young guy who had this big vision to open up hundreds of locations, and now he's done it. But he doesn't apologize for selling solutions. So let's repeat the 4 steps. Step number 1, you find a problem. Step number 2, you have to solve the problem. Step number 3, you have to sell it. Now, this just in. If people don't buy it, it's not a business. It's just a really bizarre attempt at business if you keep trying to sell something that the world doesn't want. Let me give you an example. I think everybody out there should raise their own chickens. Are you serious? I do. But am I going to be passionate about this? Yes, I am. Am I going to try to make it into a business to do a DIY, teach people how to become their own farmer? No. Why? Because it turns out less than 1% of America wants to raise their own chickens. So even though I'm passionate about the idea, nobody cares about it. And I'm not going to try to make my career selling you on the idea. I also think that everybody out there should know Klaus Schwab and his vision for the world, so you can decide whether you align with the 4th Industrial Revolution or not. But you know what? I give people copies, James, of the 4th Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. I give them copies of the Great Reset, and nobody reads it. And you know why nobody reads it? Because they don't care. So the Reawaken Tour, which I did, by the way, it's a great way to lose $2 million quickly, the Reawaken Tour. The reason why I'm not doing it anymore is because I'm not fascinated with being perpetually poor. So I think there's somebody out there listening to today's show. You have a problem that you made a list of problems. Step 2, you can solve them. Step 3, you are struggling to sell. And maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's why you should come to the conference. You can learn marketing, branding, sales. But then once you're selling something, you have to scale it. You have to build all the systems. So Dr. Sherwood, let's get your thoughts on this. Once you nail it, you have to scale it. Once you learn to sell, you've got to build the systems and processes for everything to go well. So let's talk about that for a second. Why does every entrepreneur out there have to build checklists, systems, processes, phone scripts? Why does that have to happen?
If you're not into the details, the details will not visit you.
Mm.
What you don't inspect, you cannot expect. And I hope people heard that clearly. It's that important. A good leader finds systems that have checks and balances so that if something goes wrong, you look at it, you analyze it, you say, why did it go wrong? So it doesn't go wrong next time. And if you want to scale something, you can't scale it until you've mastered it from a logistical standpoint in a small scale. So it's small to larger and larger. Like a human being is built, one cell becomes two, two becomes four. And we have systems that allow us to work readily worldwide with people. How does that happen? It's because we have a lot of systems and we're getting more and more systems on board. We got some exciting things we're doing coming up with other brands, other businesses, and other things that are going to help us scale this thing worldwide even more and to help more people to solve the problem that we're talking about, right? So again, I want people to know those two things I just said. The devil's in the details. So find those details. And secondly, again, to repeat this, what you don't inspect, you cannot expect.
There it is. Folks, I'm just telling you, this is the kind of profound wisdom you're going to learn at our in-person workshops. And I'm so excited for somebody out there to come to this conference. We have scholarship tickets to make it affordable for everybody. But James, there's usually about 4 people at every conference that say, affordable? I think not. I think I will pay for the ultra premium VIP luxury platinum. Let's do a quick recap because the next step here, okay, find a problem. Step 1. Step 2, you solve the problem. Step 3, you got to sell it. Step 4, you got to nail it and scale it. And what you have to do is you have to repeat until rich. What? To get rich, not quick, but to get rich over time, you have to nail it and scale it and repeat. So you go to work, you go to church, you go home. Keep doing that. Keep going. Stay in that flow. Go to work, go to church, go home. You got to build the systems. And there's somebody out there that you like, I'll try it. Oh, it didn't work. I'll move on to a new thing. No. We've got to get excited about it, James, the crow's nest, and we have to talk about it until we vomit. I mean, you have to talk about it until your head explodes. You have to keep selling it until you hate yourself, and then you go and sell it some more. Let's talk about the crow's nest because there's somebody who heard it and says, are you kidding me? Is this a real thing? Somebody out there needs to hear it right now. This is a real thing, James. Tell us about the crow's nest.
Listen, first of all, Clay, you've scaled over 2,000 businesses over the last 20 years in so many different industries. To pay $2,500 and to sit all the way in the back of the room, that would be worth it. But you pay $2,500 here and you get to go all the way on the top of the crow's nest where the whole time Clay's going to be talking about you, including you in the conference.
Keep going.
Not only that, but it comes with a lunch with Eric Trump and the governor of Oklahoma, along with the CEO of the guy who built the CEO.
This is the CEO of the largest pipelines in America. Now, listen, there's some shows, they don't need a cowbell, James. They don't need a megaphone. They don't need all that. They don't need all that crap. They don't need a bunch of microphones hanging up behind them. They don't need our show needs all that stuff. So here we go. James, with the power of the cowbell, sell the crow's nest.
Now, on top of the lunch with Eric Trump and the governor and a world-class Dr. Masood psychologist.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Robert Kiyosaki is going to be here as well, and he's going to be coming to the dinner with us.
You know, one thing that you failed to mention because I failed to talk to you about it, we need to know, we have the best-selling author of The Carnivore Diet, one of the top-selling books in the world. Dr. Sean Baker will be there. Dr. Sean Baker, he'll be going with you to lunch. Also, we've got Tom Wheelwright, one of the most successful financial planners in the world. This is the financial wealth advisor for Robert Kiyosaki. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy, Robert Kiyosaki, he always says you need to have a wealth advisor. This is his wealth advisor. So you got Tom Wheelwright. James, I don't think you're really selling it, though. I think somebody's going, I don't know.
Listen, and when it's time for dinner, we're going to ride over it, Clay, in your white van. It's got 150,000 miles on it. I've driven 20,000 of those miles.
Oh, yeah.
And that thing, it's got 2 engines. One's a compressed natural gas. The other one's a regular gas engine. And then you're going to have dinner with one of the world's best-selling authors, Robert Kiyosaki. He sold over 70 million books of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is going to be life-changing.
Did you mention how many dents the white van has? No, you didn't. You failed to mention how many. This thing is one of the most heavily dented white vans I've seen, James. Probably 8 to 10 original solid dents. I mean, have you?
I've got 4 on there myself.
It's incredible. I mean, just the amount of. It feels like it's been to Iraq and back in wartime. I mean, this thing, James, $2,500. How many tickets are we selling for the Crow's Nest?
Only 4 tickets.
I mean, So, but Dr. Sherwood, this is big stuff. I think there's somebody out there, you're afraid to be excited about your business. So I want to talk to you, Meg, about this. I'm the kind of guy, I'm at my kid's game at Metro Christian the other day. My son's playing drums. A father walks up to me. I don't walk up to people and sell them, but no, he came into my space. And he said, hey, I listened to your show, and what do you do? And I said, well, what do you do? He said, I sell insurance. True story. And I said, well, are you rich? And he said, no. I said, well, my clients get rich. He said, what? I said, the top insurance agent in Oklahoma right now, I can't mention his name because of the various contractual obligations he has with his brand. He's my client. You know, how many leads do you get per week? And the guy's like 5. And I'm going, my guy gets like 50 a week, you know? And he's like, are you serious? I go, I am God's gift to insurance, and I'm humble about it. And the guy, my wife's looking at me like, are you really saying these words? Because this is how I am. Now, I'm not going to profess to be a great football coach or a great football mind or claim to be God's gift to, medical or fitness or whatever. But when I know that I know how to grow a company, I don't apologize for it. And I get excited about it because I know I can help them. Meg, why do people not get excited about their business? Why are people kind of standoffish or a little afraid to commit to the fact that they may have the best solution on the planet for what they provide?
I think there's a lack of belief in it, and you're also afraid to underdeliver. So if you're not confident in your product, your company, or what you're bringing, then you're not going to have that same type of excitement when you're talking to somebody.
Anthony, what are your thoughts on this? Let me switch gears. Okay. Jesus. I talk about Jesus. The other day I was talking to somebody who's a household name, having dinner with this person, looking them right in the eyeball. My wife's with me, and this person looks right in the eyeball. I mean, I'm looking right into, I think we're supposed to look at people in the eyes, but I think I was looking into one eye, just like, type, And I'm looking at this guy, true story. And this guy says, I don't even know how to process what you're telling me during this dinner. Can I ask you why you're the only person in my life that says these things? And I go, my goal is to lead you to Jesus. And I'm not very good at sales. So that's why we're having this conversation. And I don't apologize. And, there's a table next to us, and because I'm with a household name, and they're leaning in. They're like, is he saying this? And I'm going, I'm just trying to lead you to Jesus. That's all I care about is your salvation. I really am not super excited about the project called Save America. That's not really where my head's at, but I am excited about leading you to Jesus. But I think a lot of even Christians, even in their faith, if they believe that if you actually are watching today's show and you believe that hell is your eternal destination if you are not saved through having a redemptive relationship with Jesus Christ, you would think you would try to sell it with a certain level of sizzle, but yet people are like, well, I don't know. I just let everybody, I don't really want to share my faith. It's more private to me, Why is that? Why is that, Anthony?
People aren't bold in the things that they confess or that they walk in.
Why?
So, because they're not confident within themselves.
Why?
Because they don't believe in themselves.
Why?
It's simply because they've never had a reason to believe in themselves.
Okay, now, Dr. Sherwood, enthusiasm comes from the Greek word, means theos. Okay, so theos, the root word theos, and then in, so theos means God within. Theos means God, okay? So the word enthusiasm means you're operating as though God is within you, and this just in. God created you, so you should be enthusiastic. But why is it, that Sherwood, that you're so passionate about your service, Sherwood.tv, and most people are going, well, overall, I mean, people in your peer group, other doctors, this is how they talk.
Well,
you don't talk like this.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I'm not attacking.
I don't have any peers because people think I'm a little whack job, but I don't really give a rip.
Well, I'm not attacking, real quick, I'm not attacking you or all doctors, but this is what I get from most people in your industry, and then I'll shut up here. I hear a lot of like, well, I don't want to push, functional medicine on people. I don't want to push my views. I'm a respecter of, I love big pharma. I think big pharma has its place. I do think that health has its place. And I overall, I have more of a mitigated approach. I try to look at the whole man, and I try to look at things from a science perspective, but I don't, and they're like, I have no idea what the hell you're saying. Dr. Sherwood, why don't you apologize for your holistic approach to treating people and the root cause, and not prescribing a pill for every ill?
Well, of course, the group you just talked about, I'm not a part of, nor is my wife. We're part of our own group. My wife and I are N of one. There's nobody that does what we do. I'll make a point of that. I know who I am, and I know whose I am. When God gifted me, because he lives in me, to do what I'm supposed to do, he gets the glory and people get well. Our mission statement is leading people down a pathway of true healing, and that involves knowing who Jesus is. Because people walk around sick today, and it's their own choice. I can't make them do anything, but if I lead them down a pathway to true healing, they can learn who Jesus is by learning who love is and have that redemptive relationship with him. And then because of his presence in their life, they begin to get healed physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think it's a learned process, but you have to work at it. I believe in it 100%. And I don't care what other people think. I mean, I want to love people, but faithful are the wounds of friends, Clay, and the kisses of the enemy are deceptive. Translated, people that love you will tell you the truth, even if it brings a little temporary pain. People that hate you and really don't care about you will tell you what you want to hear because it doesn't bring pain, but it brings pain at the end of the day because you end up walking yourself right into a pathway of disease, sickness, death, lack, and yes, maybe even hell.
Folks, I encourage everybody out there, if you are wanting to optimize your health, go to Sherwood.tv. If you're looking for meal replacements and or supplements that are designed to last a long time, but they're organic, check out Sherwood.tv. If you're looking for a doctor you can trust, check out Sherwood.tv. And if you're looking, James, for what we're calling the crow's nest ticket, go ahead, push through the carpal tunnel. Someone says, my fingers hurt when I type. Just push on through the carpal tunnel. Go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket right here, thrivetimeshow.com, or you can text me, 918-851-0102. I want to be bilingually sensitive. I don't want to offend anybody who speaks a different language. That's 918-851-0102. That's my L phone number. That's the number that you would L call to get a hold of me. And your call will be muy bueno. If you call, I don't want to be offensive to people that speak a different language, James. Yeah, I am. I'm very concerned about these things. You can request a ticket at thrivetimeshow.com. You can text me at 918-851-0102. It's going to be a blasty blast. James, how much are those tickets again?
2,500. And we have normal VIP tickets. Those are just 500. They also come with a great dinner at your house. I believe that'll be Friday night after the event.
Now, real quick, it could be Friday, it could be Thursday. I don't know yet. I don't know if I've talked about it, but yet it's called the Crow's Nest. Let me pull it up here. So a Crow's Nest, if you kind of get into the pirate sort of culture, this is kind of how your seating area will look and feel. It'll be sort of a pirate theme there. I don't have any cannons up there. I don't have you might be able to walk the plank, James. There's those kind of things that you might have. It's going to be a whole pirate theme up there. So James, it's going to be an incredible view. Have we talked about this yet, James?
It's going to be life-changing, Clay. I know that. And if you're out there and you want to change your life and you want to have results in your business and in your life that you could never even thought about, you got to call and you got to buy that Crow's Nest ticket.
Think about the kind of conversations you could have. You could turn over to Eric Trump and you'd say, so your dad's the president, right? I mean, think you could do that. That's the thing. Remember when your dad was the president? Right? You could have that. And if you don't want to go there, you could turn and you could say, hey, Dr. Sean Baker, remember when you wrote The Carnivore Diet? Was it awesome? You could say that. I mean, these are the kind of conversations you could say. You could say, you could look over to Kiyosaki and go, hey, do you remember Rich Dad, Poor Dad? I remember it because you wrote it, right? Yeah. You could do all those sort of, you could look at the governor and say, hey, I don't approve of what you do, Governor. Right? You could say that, right?
Right.
You could at this meal, you could look at the pipeline guy and say, hey, you should make your biggest pipeline bigger because it doesn't impress me. Right? I mean, there's so much you could do. There's so much material there. I mean, if you're a comedian, this is hot. James, think about the topics you could have here. You could turn to the psychologist and you could say, sometimes when I'm in settings, I look at other people and I scream, why? You could have, there's so much you could do. Dr. Sherwood, there's so much you could do. And you're never going to see these people again, probably, too. I mean, Sherwood, this is an incredible opportunity, don't you think?
You have an opportunity to hobnob, insult, and question some of the most important people in the world.
Yes.
And you can learn how to become rich at the same time. I don't know really how a better combination can have than that of everything you might want to experience in life.
You could put your head out the window of my white van and say, oh, and you could do that. And I could say, please stop. And you could say, I probably won't. And there's a lot you can do there. I'm pretty excited about Again, that's Sherwood.tv. Dr. Sherwood, thank you so much for putting up with us today. I really am excited to have you on the show each and every week. And everyone should check out your website, Sherwood.tv.
You're welcome, man. Aye, matey. Thanks for having me.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March. March 6th and 7th,
Oh.
you're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that if a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. That's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody, don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge, learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard. And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. This is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and petting it.
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed.
Yeah.
So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business.
It's tough.
But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. I'm just no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns the what do you call that? The rental,
storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. You think that's going to change your life? I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right. Really. So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.